Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for another very special edition of Diary of a Double, the two-way crossing and the whole year-long planning process of Antonio Argüelles of Mexico City. Welcome, Antonio.
Muy buenos días, buenas tardes, buenas noches to all our audience. It's great seeing you, Stephen. We finished week 4. We only have about 53 more to go. So, it's like any channel swimming. You have to start from the mark, the 0 mark, to go to all the other way.
Yeah.
I'm
and
very
how
happy.
was it this week?
Well, this week I had three experiences that I want to share with our audience. The first one is, remember I was telling you last week that I was traveling, and I ended up swimming in 3 different swimming pools during 4 days, and that's always very interesting to me because I'm able to talk to other swimmers and see other environments, and you know what's really interesting is that the feeling for everybody in the pool is that they're happy. At some point in Monterrey, we're getting into the pool at 4:45 because now you have a time schedule that you're scheduled into a certain time frame, and everybody was very happy. I mean, I guess we are all very excited going back to the pools and enjoying whatever time we have to swim. I'm very fortunate because they allow me so I can finish my workouts. So that was really, really interesting. The second thing that I had to realize, Stephen, is that we all have weak spots. And since I was a swimmer, kicking was very complicated for me. And it was, if I pull my paddles and my pool boy, I was very fast. And that just means that I had the pool boy pulling me up. So I was very good at pulling. Unfortunately, there's no event with pool boys and swimming paddles, but my kick is very bad. So I started fooling myself when I started using fins. Remember, in our days we didn't use fins. I don't know when fins came into being so popular, but nowadays we didn't. At least I didn't swim with fins, and so I was in Monterrey on Monday, and I had to do. Rafa, surprised me with a 1,000 kick, and I didn't have fins, so I don't want to tell you how long it took me to do my 1,000 kick, but it took me a long time, and I really realized that in this time of the season, I would put a lot of effort in getting a better kick and doing a lot of kicking and trying to straighten that out. And so that's another thing that happened this week. And so this is something for my fellow swimmers. Don't get upset with your coaches because coaches love to surprise swimmers. And Rafa surprised me today because as the season goes, we have we'll be moving on Saturdays to do 2 different types of workouts. It's the long day that we do long workout, and usually it's between 10 and 15 kilometers, unless we go to the ocean and we do longer swims. But when we do it in las estacas or in the pool, the standard is 10 times 1,000, and the objective there is to work in 3 different in 5 different paces that we have. We cover the range of the aerobic workout in 5 different paces, and supposedly today I was just going to be swimming in 2 of the ranges, and suddenly when we're in the 4th 1,000, Rafa told me that he has a surprise for me. I said, what kind of surprise? I want you to the last 1,000 to do a 400 very fast. And when the coach tells you have to go very fast, you start thinking, well, I'll be able to handle it because I was struggling. I mean, it's only the 4th week, and it turned out to be very good. So I'm very happy. Usually I don't know the feeling of some of our audience, but once you get to Saturday, which is my last day, is like I'm free. I'm finished. I'll be able to relax. Today I'm going having lunch with my son and my daughter-in-law, because the granddaughter should be arriving in about 10 to 15 days.
Okay, good.
So we're gonna go and see her new room, and so it's gonna be a relaxing afternoon.
Yeah. Well, I have a few questions. Do you think on that last 400 you were using your legs, your kick a little more, or what
Yeah,
made you? Okay.
yeah. I was thinking on my rotation because that's
Mhm.
something that I have to work, and I was concentrating on the kick. I felt I don't know if it helped for me going faster, especially the last 100. I was able to go much faster than the three previous ones, but kicking is important.
Yeah.
Um, and it's not the same thing to go on a 400, than going and crossing the English Channel, but kicking is very important. I felt it today.
Yeah. One of the greatest swimmers in marathon swimming history, channel swimming history, is Greta Anderson. She won 5 English Channel races in the 1950s. And she was also the first person to do a double crossing of the Catalina Channel. And she was a tough swimmer, Olympic swimmer, Olympic champion, in fact. But she used to do 10-mile, 16 kilometers in the Pacific Ocean in Long Beach with a kickboard. One day
No.
a week, she would go 16 kilometers with a kickboard kicking. And
Wow.
I asked her, I said, why did you do such a workout? She says, because kicking is very important for, what she was doing. And she was an Olympic champion, and she still worked on her kicking when she transformed to a marathon and channel swimmer. So 16 kilometers with a kickboard. And she would go out to one of these little islands off of Long Beach and back. That was her workout. And I asked her, who followed you? She said, nobody. I had on my kickboard. And
Well,
and of course she was explaining this to me in her 80s. And this, of course, when she was doing it in her 20s. I said, do you remember how long it took you? She didn't take any water, no gel packs, nothing. She would
wow.
drink and eat before she started. And she says, I don't remember how long it took me, but I knew it took me a long time.
Wow.
So,
Well,
if it's good for Greta Anderson, it's good for Antonio.
yes, yeah, when I'm tired, doing my 1,000 like I did on Monday, I
Yeah.
would think about 16 kilometers and get
Yeah.
an inspiration. What a
Yeah.
great story. Did she ever write a book about it, about her career? Is there a book about her career?
I wish she would. She has so many stories. She attempted to swim. She was the first person, or supposedly the second person, but first documented person to attempt to swim across the Molokai Channel in the late 50s. And supposedly she was sponsored by a lot of people. Roman meal bread, which is like in Mexico at that time, like Bimbo, very,
Bimbo,
very,
yeah.
very large. And there were sharks around her, and she didn't want to get out, but her sponsors made her get out. And so she did, she attempted to swim the Molokai Channel in the 50s. She won 5 races across English Channel. She did a double crossing of the Catalina, first person to do that. And she was very competitive with the men, but she has so many stories. And, but anyway, getting back to you.
Is she still alive?
Yes, she's 93. Um,
Wow.
and she's hanging in there.
Great. Great. What a wonderful story.
So how was it swimming in different pools? They're all 50-meter pools, 25-yard pools.
No, the two of them were 25-meter pools. And this is the other thing that when you usually swim in your pool, the ropes, as you say in English. And but also it's very interesting how pools, um, depending on at what time they were built, how they feel and how they look.
Yes.
Uh, because when you go, for example, the Olympic Club in San Francisco, where I swim, and you compare it to the pool at the New York Athletic Club, the pool in California, it's a very fast pool. It's beautiful. You can move the deck to do water polo and stuff like that. And then you go to New York and it's very high. And the same thing happens here. I swam in a pool that was 60 years old, so obviously it didn't have the flow. So it's very high. So it's very heavy. And then the other thing is the size of the lanes. I don't know. People. I guess when you build a pool, you don't go and look at the FINA standards and say you have to be what is 2.5 meters, the Olympic size of
Yes.
a lane. And the things that happen is that as you've seen me swim, I tend to my arms go like this. They don't go like this. So I was hit, and I hit several people. Fortunately, I wasn't wearing paddles. So that's one thing that's different. The size and how fast, how low, how high or how low the walls are. That's something that is really interesting. And but I swam in Saltillo in Coahuila, which is a state north of Mexico, border with Texas. That's the Instagram that I did on Tuesday, and it was a 50-meter pool, but it was with 25 meters. So you had a lot of lanes, and it's really interesting. When you go the day before, I had swum in a pool that had only 4 lanes. And suddenly you get to a 50-meter pool with a lot of lanes. So the perspective is totally different, and how you look at it. And but one thing that's it's common is that people are very happy to be in the pool. And I guess this is just part of the times we're living, because I don't know what's happening in the States, but in Mexico you have time allowance that you can be in the pool. And one day, I started swimming at 4:45 and there were already people in the pool, and it just shows you that if you want to swim, there's no time for you to go swimming. I mean, if they open the pool at 4:30, you're going to be there at 4:30 and taking advantage of being in the pool. So that's mostly my experience in the pool this week.
Yeah. I always call it, each pool has its own personality. Um, it's not only the personality of the gutters and pool deck, the locker rooms and the lane lines, but also the personality of the swimmers. You could go to a pool and there might be a college team there, and everybody's swimming fast and very serious, or an age group club team, and there's lots of kids in the pool swimming very fast, and everybody's looking at the clock and coach is yelling. And then you go to another time and it's just recreational swimmers. A lot of people swimming breaststroke, very slow backstroke. And I always like to observe the personality of the pools. And it's
Yes. And the other thing that's really interesting, one of the days in Monterrey, it's very hot right now. It's a summer, and it's hot and humid like Texas. And one thing that's really interesting is that, or in Cuernavaca, that people go to the shower, to go before the shower. So it's really interesting to hear people is the water is very cold. Okay. So I go and take the shower. I say, this cold water, I wish I had this cold water in any one of my swims. I mean, this is really nice cold water. So that's a funny thing, when people talk about cold, and the pool being 27 degrees, at least here in Mexico, that's very cold.
Yeah. And the other thing, I recall the story of when Duke Kahanamoku was a very, very fast swimmer from Hawaii, and he won Olympic medals about 100 years ago, actually. And he set a world record in the Waikiki pool. And the Waikiki pool was a pool built right in Waikiki on Oahu in Hawaii. And the water was the seawater. It wasn't a chlorinated water. It was the ocean would fill up the lane lines. And he set a world record. And they sent the information over to FINA, and they, of course, back in, I think it was like 1912 or so, they couldn't believe. They said, no human can swim that fast. No possibility that they could swim that fast. And time went on, and Duke, they had officials. And again, those times you didn't fly to Hawaii. You took a boat to Hawaii. It wasn't even Hawaii was a completely different, it wasn't a state. It was a territory. And finally, they confirmed that Duke Kahanamoku and several of his Hawaiian friends actually swam that fast. And it's amazing to me nowadays, many swimmers, and maybe you will do this eventually, you'll do 100 100s. And I remember in the 1970s, the first time I heard of someone who did 100 100s. And I thought to myself, that isn't possible. There's no way somebody can do 100 or 100s. And nowadays, lots of people do 100 100s. In fact, there are people, I think Ned Dennison in Ireland, they do 100 200s, which is 20,000 meters.
I never swam the 100 200s. I used to swim. One of my favorite workouts to see for mental strength was doing 100 100s. Okay. Rafa doesn't like those. Rafa likes the thousands, and so we do 10 1000s. And it's, to me, it's more complicated, because you know what happens with a 100 100? You get a pace all the time. You know, the idea is just to get into a pace and just keep that pace and make it. And with the 10,000s, we do a combination of different things. Depending on when we are in the season. For example, today we were doing 300 at my middle pace, which today was about 147. And when you think, we're swimming 50 meter. When you think 147, you say, well, that's not very complicated. But he wasn't very happy at the beginning because I couldn't hold 147. I was holding like 145 and then 150, and then, but in this time in the season I have to do 147, and then a recovery in about 152, 153, and then we did a 400 and 100, and when we are later on, we'll talk about this, but we do 600, 400, or 400, 100, and then he's very tricky, because when we get to the 9,000, we have to go 1075 at top speed. So you are dead after those 1075. And then the most important part of the workout is you have to time yourself for 1,000. So the first time we did that, you know what happened? I didn't pace myself well. So when we got to the 1,000, I was dead. I didn't have anything in my arms. I was just totally dead. I was so upset with myself, because that feeling that you're pulling and you just have no strength, and they just you're just like a whale there, just trying to get your flow. But yeah, what, in our days when Schubert, that's the ones I knew that Schubert was doing, is the challenge was to go on the 110 or 115. The best I did was on a 120. And that was my best. Now I'll be very happy if I can go on a 150. But I don't do those anymore. But those are fun. Those are fun.
Antonio, on your hard workouts like today, where you're going to do a lot of yardage and you're going to have a high heart rate, and Rafa's going to challenge you. What do you eat? Do you eat anything before your workouts? How is your morning routine?
I'm very bad with that, and the first thing that I do when I wake up is to drink coffee, and I love coffee. So, as you know, my brothers own restaurants, so I have one of those restaurant machines that make great coffee. So they gave me that for my birthday. So I drink coffee, and then when I get to the pool, I bring water and I bring my Axel gel, and in the pool I take one Axel gel every hour, and but when we do the long one, before I do the 75s, I take one, and then I take one before the 1,000. I really need to have. It makes a difference.
Yeah.
It makes a big difference whether I am getting my Axel gel, and you feel in the arms,
Yeah.
because you're. This is something that's important for the long swims, is that my body knows how to use that energy very well, and I've gotten used to that. That's what I do: drink water and Axel gel during the workouts.
You don't get hungry at all?
No,
Really? You don't think of, I need a big enchilada, or, I want a street taco, or
no,
really?
no. You know what happened is today. When I do the 10,000,
Uh-huh.
I probably consume about 4 or 5 of the Axis gels, and then I'm not hungry until I eat my lunch at about 2:30, 3 o'clock. It really gives me a lot of energy. I never, when I get hungry is after a couple of hours. Um, for example, during the week when I do some speed training, that I go fast in the morning, in the mid morning, I need to have something to eat. My body is requesting some food. But no, when I swim, I never think about food. I have some friends that think about food. They're thinking about what they're going to be, that they wish to be eating. But no, I don't think about food.
Okay.
And the other thing that I don't do anymore, I don't have any songs in my mind. I don't know what if it happened to you when I was younger, swimming at the ANSA. I always had a piece of a song that I was repeating. But now I don't do that. I don't do that anymore.
Yeah, yeah. So now your workout is over, your week is over, and are you gonna enjoy a nice lunch there with
Yes,
your?
we're going today. I'm going to be a gram. As you know, the joke that I do these days is that you're the godfather of open water swimming, and I'm going to be the grandfather of open water swimming. My granddaughter should be arriving around the 23rd of September. So today we're going to David Denitz's house, and we're going to look at my granddaughter's room to see that everything is ready for her. And today I'm going to have Chinese food.
Okay.
We're going to go and do some takeout, and I'm going to have Chinese food. And by the time I get there, now I'm trying to get hungry because you asked me about food. So I'm going to have they do these things in this restaurant here in Mexico, that you have a lettuce, and you put on the lettuce you put some meat, and so it's like a taco, a lettuce taco, and then I'll have Peking duck and some rice and some black mushrooms. That's
Oh,
what I ordered for today. So
wow.
I'm gonna have a nice recovery lunch.
Yeah. Now I'm getting hungry. Yeah. And
Yes.
what are your plans for next week? Rafa will tell you tomorrow morning, correct?
Yeah. Tomorrow morning, the routine in the morning on Sundays, I sleep late. I sleep until about 7:30. And Rafa doesn't do that. So he always gets up about 4:30 in the morning. So when I wake up, I already have my workout. And I look at the workout, and the first time I just look at, how it looks. I mean, what's the mileage? And now every week we're increasing the mileage. Um, And then the second thing is I know which ones are going to be the top days. Usually the top days are Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays.
Okay.
And I look at those days, and then I come back 10, 15 minutes later, and I look at them very, very, very precisely in terms of what are the intervals. And then Rafa doesn't only put the interval, but he tells me at what time he wants me to do the sets. For example, if we're gonna do, you know, he loves this one that it's it's kind of challenging. It's like we do, for example, 800 meters 3 or 4 times, and you do 12.5 meters, and then you do 12.5 recovery. And the next one is 25 with no 12.5 with 25, and then 12.5 with. So that is it looks, when you look at it the first time, says, this is easy. At the end of the workout, I have no arms, and the other one is when we do paces. So it's if it goes that I have to go, let's say, the last time I was doing some hundreds on a 150, and when I finished, I told him I had done all of them around 135, 136, and he wasn't very happy. And I was very happy because I had gone fast. He says, "No, you must have done at 140." I mean, the idea when we do that is you have to go on a 140. So he puts the time that I have to do in each one of my repetitions, and sometimes he gets very, very demanding, so we have to talk. And I usually lose the conversation or the topic because he explains me why I have to do that, and I think that's very important. And if I could give one advice today to our viewers is that talk to your coach. Don't be afraid of asking your coach why you're doing things. Because that helps you understand when I always think when it gets really, really tough. I remember what Rafa told me, why that was necessary, and then I think where in the channel I'll be using that. Okay. And that I always transfer it to, there's always this devil here talking to you that stop. I mean, you don't need to do that. So I need to get my angel here that tells me, you have to finish your workout. And one way I get all my motivation is that I imagine myself, like I did in Catalina or Molokai. I remember Molokai was really, really tough. Yeah. And I remember those days and I say, well, if I don't do that, I won't be able to accomplish it.
Yeah. Great. I wonder, are you keeping track of your weight or your body mass index? Any different?
Yeah. Confinement hasn't been very good for my weight, Stephen. Okay. I gained 8 pounds.
Okay.
Okay. And then before the season started, I did my body mass index.
Oh, okay. Oh, great.
Yeah, I did my body fat index, and it came out. I went to a hospital and did it with a scanner.
Oh, wow. So, okay. Very, very good one. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. We did 2 things. We did it with a scanner, and then we wanted, we've been keeping track of this for the last 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
And with my doctor, with Ariadna. And I don't know how you would say it in English, but another way, another form to get your body mass index is that they put, they do with the thing. And,
yes.
Yeah, caliper. And this about the difference between the caliper and the scanning. It came out. It's been consistent between 10 and 12% difference.
Which
the caliper
is higher?
Scanning. Okay. Scanning. Okay. Scanning is more, I think it's more accurate.
Okay.
Even though I don't like it. So the number this year was 31. Okay. 31% fat.
That's what you started with.
Yeah, that's what I started with.
Okay, so this is after lockdown and no training at 31%. Okay, got it.
But you know what in my the good side of this, you always have to find a good part. is that I went and had my blood a blood test,
Okay.
and for me there's three parameters that are very important. Number one is my glucose, because in my family we've had history of diabetes. But I do something, I don't know how you call it in English, it's called glucosilada, which is your average. You know, glucose, when it can, if you take a glucose in the morning and you ate big in the day before, it can come very high.
Yeah.
So the important thing is what your average is.
Yeah.
And this test is the average. And I was doing very good. I was 4.8, which is really good. The you know, if you have pre-diabetes, you have to be 5.8. So I'm perfect there. The other one that I look at is my insulin. And there is a parameter between your insulin level and your glucose. And it's a number, and it's a standard. It's an index. And that index came out very well. And the third one is my liver. And you know, I drink, let's say I enjoy drinking, and so I have to I'll keep that one in mind as well. And it came out well. So the end of the preseason, or when we started, is that even if I had gained the 8 pounds and my body fat index was high, my parameters were okay. So now you know, one thing Rafa told me, he said, don't worry, you know, once we get starting, you won't, we'll get some of those pounds away. So I'm not very concerned about that.
Great, great. Well, I want you to enjoy your afternoon with your family, and enjoy the new granddaughter, right? It'll be
Granddaughter.
Yeah, big granddaughter's new bedroom. So, and we'll see you next week, week 5.
Week 5, Stephen. And you know, I remember what you said last week. We'll see where we are in the next couple of weeks, because Rafa told me today after we finish, well, don't worry. You know, you're gonna be more tired the next time. You know, starting next month, you're gonna be more tired. So go and enjoy, as you said, your family, and well, you too have a great weekend, and we'll see each other next week.
Yes. All right. Take care. Bye.
Adios.